आप सुन रहे हैं ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग कम्युनिटी स्ट्रीम। Hi, this is Q Live and Nayak from Delhi. I hope you all are taking care of yourself and working towards your goal. This is the episode 11, and I'd like to thank you all for supporting the podcast. If you like what we're doing and if you think you have any feedback to contribute, please drop us a mail mentioned in the podcast description. For this episode, we have Sneha Yelluru Patel, who's a designer in advanced design at Mitsubishi Fuso truck based in Japan. We'll be talking about her journey from a product design student to a CMF designer. We'll also be discussing her approach towards design for the real world. Welcome to the show, Sneha. What's up?
Hi Deepak and everyone who's probably tuning in. Good morning, everyone.
It's a good morning here. It's an afternoon in Japan.
Yes.
How's your day like?
Yeah, today is a Monday and we have a holiday today. It's something called as the Silver Holiday Week in Japan. So people are mostly taking off this whole week, but I already had my fair share of holiday last month, so I'm gonna get back to work tomorrow. But
Is it like a festival kind of a thing, or just a kind of a cult thing?
yeah, I think it's kind of a cultural thing here. Like, yeah, I mean, the Japanese folks work really hard, but they know how to take a break, I guess, because they have this golden week, which they can club and take a long week off, and this is a silver week, which is clubbed with a few holidays, and then they take the entire week off to refresh. Yeah, yeah.
Better enjoy this week. Um, so yeah, Sneha, let's just start with your start with your journey in design. How did you go into design? What was your state of mind when you were in school? You wanted to be a designer when you were a kid?
I no, I had no idea design was something that was out there in the market when I started. Definitely not. I just was like drawn a lot towards arts, I guess. I mean, like my mom would probably be better to tell you this, but I was not a very focused child. I used to rather enjoy like drawing or sketching or doing crafty things than of sitting and mugging up stuff for exams, I guess. So, uh, well, I mean that kind of made it very clear for my mom and for me that I'm definitely not gonna or I'm definitely going to go into a field which has something to do with drawing involved in it. So after my 10th boards, I joined this um, group, Silica group. Basically, they coached students to, prepare for entrance exams for all these NID, NIFT, or all these art schools, basically. And that's where I slowly started learning about what all other options career-wise with drawing. Or honestly, I was like, okay, with drawing, I guess I can just be a fashion designer. That's my path. So, but that really changed once I started these classes. So they did prepare us pretty well for the entrance exams, and there are a lot of interesting, uh, you know, workshops and exercises they used to give us to train us um, during these classes. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I literally used to attend my coaching class, Silica coaching class, more than my college. So I
Were you
mean,
based
that
in,
was my
where were
space.
you based at this time?
So at this time, basically I was in Mumbai at that time, and I was in Ruya College at that time. So yeah, I had taken up arts with maths. But yeah, like I said, I barely attended college. I used to rather be at Silica classes, which was in, I think it was in Townside. I'm forgetting the name of the place, but yes, it was in Townside. But yeah, so yeah, and that's how it began. And of course, I tried for NID, NFT, Mayors Institute of Design, Symbiosis, and I didn't make the cut for NID at that time. I got through NIFT, but at that point, I think I was almost very clear that I didn't want to do fashion design per se. I wanted to do something else. Yet I wasn't very clear of what I wanted to do, but definitely not fashion design for the further studies. And um, yeah, so and then I got through Mayor's Institute of Design, and that's where I started learning more and more about what my options were and what I can get into. So yeah, and then that was how I got into Mayors, and there I understood there were a lot more options, like maybe it's animation or even product design or automobile design, or however you can pick and choose. But yeah, and that I did industrial design. I studied product design from Mayors, and yeah, I was pretty engaged with that pretty much the whole of my
So,
college life.
did you have an idea? Did those classes give you an exposure to this field? That what was it all about, or it took some time for you to kind of sink in about the field, or what was the process was involved in? Well, I'm sure in foundation years, you get this question that you kind of need to rethink if you really wanna do this, right? What was the case? In,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like the foundation year. Honestly, it was the most fun year for me. So because we could, so I really enjoyed working in the workshop quite a bit, and that made me realize that I have interest towards building physical models or working with things which have volume or this kind of aspect to it. And by the time we had to choose between we had to choose what we wanted to take forward for the studies. I was i, I was a bit confused between animation and product design at that point. But yeah, somehow I because of a few seniors, I guess, talking to them, it really drew me towards product design eventually. And I like sketching products at that time, and I was, yeah, pretty drawn towards that, and that's what made me
so
realize. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I mean, even in my case, I was kind of lost for a very long time, at least of my foundation years. Um, and even later years of my life, I was kind of I managed to crack a job, crack an internship, but still I kind of needed some time to rethink. So yeah, I think it's never it's always a good time to kind of rethink what you really want to do. So
Yeah.
um, I think from our conversation, you also mentioned that you got your first internship as a packaging designer, right? How what
Yeah.
how did it happen?
Yes. Okay, so basically, once we graduated, I uh, there was a lot to polish on my work at that point because, yeah, okay, so while we were studying, we had DSK that had come up next to our college, and it was the talk of the town because everyone spoke very well about it, like how the coaching is, and um, how their curriculum was really good for design and so on. But and a lot of my seniors and my batchmates actually made the move to DSK midway, because they saw better prospects there for themselves. But I couldn't because I mean, not that I couldn't, but I chose not to because it was a bit expensive for me at that point. And yeah, so I just kind of stayed put at Mears and try to figure out. But at the same time, when we got in touch, with with our batchmates who had moved to DSK, they just raved about the college and how the discipline is and what kind of things they are made to practice and stuff. So, and the more I heard about it, I realized that there is a lot of emphasis on how you present your work, how you make a good presentation, and that is something that was not very focused on in our college. It's not a drawback, it was part of it, but maybe it was not emphasized as much as it was in DSK. So I mean, I could clearly tell that so once I graduated, like my portfolio that I had prepared was really not up to the mark. I could myself judge it.
And how did you
To
realize
start
that
with,
when you say that? How did you realize? Did you get feedbacks, or it was just kind of a self-reflection thing?
it was also what I was seeing of the outcome of what the DSK students were putting out as their portfolios, and I could compare it. Like, come on, and I could see that that was one of self realization, and then secondly, I also reviewed my portfolio with a lot of friends who had. Not just from not just from mayors, but also from friends who had graduated from DSK at that point. And yeah, they had a lot of constructive feedback to give me, and they really pointed out where all I'm lacking and what is not coming up very clearly. So yeah, and so like immediately after graduation, and I made my portfolio and I realized it's still not there. I kind of so at that time it was like Tanay and Akash Devan, both of them from DSK. So I kind of like picked them as, you could say, mentors, but they were really friends who were trying to uh, you know educate me to the right track or get me to a better level at my presentation skills. So I really took good, I think, good 1-2 months to redo my portfolio and get better at um, whatever feedback they would give me. A lot of revisions, and that's when I was like, okay, I think I've reached a certain level. I guess I'm going to put it out there and see what I get. And yeah, that was how I got into it. DBI Works is the it's a branding agency, so that was my first gig, and yeah, and that was in Mumbai, and I wanted to. A lot of my friends were in Mumbai as well at that time, and my family had moved to Ahmedabad. So, and I really wanted to be around these people who were mentoring me, and so I was like, this is great. So I'm going to go take up this job, and it will be fun. And very soon I was like, there was so many new things for me to learn at DY Works. It's a small group of people, like maybe at the most like 90 to 100 people, and it had specific people with specific roles, like people who were doing the marketing, people who were pitching in for new clients to come in, and there was a graphic design team, there was a product design team, which was I was part of the product design team, and then also there were a lot of how do you call it, like physical modelers there. So basically it was a good start for me because I was able to closely see how all these groups worked in tandem to get one project out in the market, right? So it was really good because it's nice to have a certain kind of conversation with the marketing team and plan what you're going to aim for as a design. And at the same time, getting once you have your ideations and your thought ready, you pitch it to your marketing team, and then they get on board. They are very much in line with what you're trying to propose or what you're trying to sell. And then together we go and make the pitch to the clients. And it was really cool because it was the first time I was seeing all these different people with different background working together and getting shit done. So it was really cool. It was a lot of learning for me
Yeah.
at that point.
All right. So,
Yeah.
was that the same reason that you kind of aligned your career towards CMF design? Or
Not just yet. No, not yet. Actually, so DBI Works was really great as a starting point for me. Um, so I think it's always nice to have an experience with like a startup company and then with a smaller company with limited people, and then you also should experience like a corporate um, field setup, because I think it really you can really understand the different ways of people working in these three environments. So prior to DY Works, when we had like our little internships, I was working with a lot of startup companies. So I kind of got a vibe of how the startup company works like. And then this DY Works was like, somewhere midway, I guess, between corporate and startup, because it was still a small team and a lot of teams working very closely together, and no walls, literally no walls between the various fields. So it was really cool. And uh, you could see what different people brought to the table, uh, in the phase of a whole project. And yeah, so basically, to answer your question, it was not just at that time that I realized that I wanted to be in CMF. Okay, so basically, I did like 2 years in DY Works, and I was my heart was not there, because we were doing, so packaging design basically is what they did is they just redid the branding, redid the packaging for a particular company over and over again, just so it doesn't die out from the market. This is obviously a good intention, but it was not something that I wanted to carry on with. And uh, and I guess I had reached a point where I was not learning more, and that kind of killed my enthusiasm to be around there. Um, and and yeah, where if you feel like you're not able to, if you're not enthusiastic to the field, I think it's better you leave than doing harm to them and to yourself as well. So yeah, so I decided to leave DY Works, and very stupidly also, because I didn't have like a backup option. I didn't secure another job at the time, like many wise people do. But I just decided to let go of it. And then yeah, then this time I was okay. I was like, okay, let me gather all my projects and uh, do up a new portfolio again. And at the same time, it was taking time for me to figure out what I wanted to do next from there. Um, and also, industrial design is such that there are so many different avenues that you can join in, right? And could be lifestyle products, it could be electronic products, or so I didn't know what to go into next, but I definitely wanted to try, so I know where I wanted to stick around at least.
this time you were taking mentorship with your friends. Did they help you to
Mm,
decide what would be your next step, or were you on your own?
I mean, this was more of a decision that I had to take for myself because, of course, they were always around. We were always catching up after work, doing design talk, or just sharing what we are learning every day. Because for all of us, it was like we were going into this work, into this work field after college at the same time, so there was a lot of learnings and realizations, and we would always catch up on that. So they were always around to guide me, but this where I wanted to go next was completely up to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
that was on my personal inclination, I guess. uh, so at this period when I really didn't have a job, and I was building my portfolio, I decided to learn something. um, so my so I basically traveled to a small village close to Kutch at that time, and I tried to learn how to work with leather. um, so this was a really cool thing for me to learn, actually. Also, I was traveling to this small village, and I was living with one of the villagers who is a he does leather goods for, even he even outsources them to Fab India, is what I had learned.
Yeah.
So, and it was really cool actually, because so all the men in the household did work with leather, and all the women they did like intricate uh, thread work on these leather products, whatever it may be. It could be a belt or a bag, or so it was a lot of fun for me to go stay with them, and they were so kind and generous to have me at their place and let me stay there, live there, eat their food, um, chill in their field with like cows and all. It was really cool.
That
Yeah,
sounds
but
like
I
yeah, that sounds like an internship in itself, I think.
yeah
I would love to,
yeah, like
to be honest.
he was like my guru, and I really think they had a great setup, because they have a house, and then they in their house they have like a room which they called it a workshop room, where they did all the leather work. So I mean, when I had gone there, this is what I had thought, like, when I grow up, I want to have a house like this, where I can have my house and I can have my own workshop shed next to my house, where I get all my design stuff done. Um, it was so good. And
That was also the reason because you were into workshop stuff and making prototypes, right? I mean, that's of course another reason why did you enjoy this time, right? And what
yes,
in fact
definitely.
influenced you to kind of go there and learn about leather? Did you have any
Uh,
goal in mind you wanted to do?
so yeah, so I mean, the idea started with me building a portfolio. So I wanted to add some new personal projects to them, and I wanted to also learn some new craft while I'm doing this portfolio building. So my mother at that time, she was working with a lot of local artisans, and she was the one who told, she was talking randomly, and she mentioned like leather artisans. So, and that really you know uh, I was like, hey, that sounds kind of cool. I could probably learn how to work with leather. Maybe as a designer, I could bring something new to this, like how to make leather products with optimizing leather cuts and not wasting, because leather is in itself not so environmentally friendly. And if you're going to work with it, you might as well work with it in a good way to minimize
The most.
wastage. Yeah. So a lot of ideas start popping up in my head, and I was like, okay, I think I want to learn this. It might help me in my future, and there's no harm. So once I finished learning, or studying how to work with leather, I did my project, and at the same time, I heard about this opening at DICV, India Commercial Vehicles, which is based in Chennai.
Okay.
There was an opening for a CMF designer post, and I was like, maybe I could try this, and the current thing that I'm learning could be of good use for me. This is something I was imagining, and CMF design is not something that I had specifically done. Obviously, it's part of every product design. It's something that you touch upon, but not exclusively. So I was like, okay, let me just try it. And lucky for me, I got the gig because I think it helped because I had the product design background, and I was learning how to work with materials and leather. So it kind of I think that's what made my chances better to get this job. And yeah, obviously I was a bit nervous. I was like, oh, I don't know how CMF design works, but I'm gonna just pick it up on the way, on the go. And how different can it be? The design process would, basically be the same. You start with research, and then you identify problem areas, you ideate, and then you create, and then the development phase would start. Let me try it. So that's how I got into DICV, and yeah, in DICV, I think that's where I extensively did just CMF design, and that's when I knew, okay, because it was just continuous learning for me, right? And so I guess that's what kept me engaged to it, and I think, yeah, that's that's when I knew.
Awesome. Definitely. I mean, CMF also this field attracts me so much, man, because there's so much innovation when you talk about CMF. When you joined Daimler, did you have a dedicated team who were working with CMF, or you were kind of the only person around you, kind of figuring out and learning while doing? Or did you had kind of assistants who were kind of assisting you and helping you, making you learn about the process? How was it for you? There was a dedicated set of people there.
Uh, so we didn't have a person who was doing CMF apart from me, but it was a small team. It was a very small team. It was like a startup inside a corporate setup.
That
And we were like,
that definitely sounds really ideal for designers.
well, yeah, in a way, I guess. I mean, there are pros and cons to it. Especially coming out of DY Works, I was a bit baffled. Oh, how come the marketing team, and how come there's no graphic design team here? So that's what I quickly learned, that we are the ones who are gonna, you know, given any suggestion in terms of design, whether it's graphic design, whether it's automobile design, or whether it is CMF design, we are the ones as a small team who would be responsible to put in these ideas or pitch in these ideas, identify and pitch in. So that's why I say it was like a startup in a corporate firm, because we were doing not just CMF or something that our role was entitled to, but we were doing everything under design, like a lot of graphic design work, or um, logo ideation, everything. So, so our team was basically just about 4 people, I guess, including me. There was an automobile designer, and there was a digital designer, and then I believe there was an intern before me, and then I had joined, and so I guess that makes it only 3. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Yeah. So pretty small team, right? And
When you said small, I thought it must be like maybe people, but yeah, 3 people is just crazy. And did
yeah.
it also kind of giving you space where you could try out different things because you were just a bunch of people. I'm sure it might it has given you some space to kind of try different things and maybe make a process of your own. How was it for you?
Yeah. So Yeah, so basically, this design team was just starting in DICB. Like, and people, I guess the people outside of design, they didn't really know what kind of things we could bring to the table, or what exactly does the design team do.
Yeah.
And we were quite a confidential team, so we were in another box, shut off, and no one could enter and exit.
Yeah.
So people were completely had no idea what this team does, or and we couldn't even like share our projects or anything because it's all pretty much confidential.
Yeah.
And uh, the kind of projects we used to get initially were very live projects oriented, and they used to just come and go, and it didn't really fill most of our time. So the time that we had, we used to make design briefs for ourselves and work on them. So uh, that we would like pitch then to the engineering team and then to our managers, and yeah, slowly. uh, so also we understood that, you know, people didn't know much what we could offer. So, and also, this is a general problem in India, that design is not well appreciated, or they don't know the
Yeah.
importance of the
Also
design
need
team yet.
awareness. Yeah.
I think the culture is changing, honestly. It's just time, I guess. I'm definitely seeing a good slope there where it is in the improvement area. Um, when we also face this problem, sure, I mean, people don't know what we could do, or they mistake us for doing menial graphic design work. So we wanted to rectify this a bit, or at least change a little bit of this thinking within our DICV world.
Yeah.
So we thought, we pitched about doing like a design event where we could call in a lot of departments and then take them through our process, and what all things can be solved with design.
Yeah.
And so taking our trucks, it's a commercial vehicle segment, so using our trucks as our base products, we put all these little design projects that we were doing in our free time, and we started putting that up, and then we showed them how this kind of helps, or helps the final product, or what can we do exactly. So we had this whole event planned out. We pitched it to our manager, and very lucky for us, he was very supportive about it. There's a lot of funding and all of that support that we need when we have to do such a big scale project. So uh, we got good support on that, and touchwood, it was a great event, and a lot of people from different departments came in, and then we took them through the whole presentation,
Yeah.
and there was it was a good response, and people were very curious. They What was good was they were curious, and they came up to us and they asked us, what did you study, what was your background, when did you start studying this, and how can I. There were a lot of engineering chaps who came up to us and asked us, okay, so I'm studying design, I'm studying engineering, so how do you think I can join design now. So and a lot of questions about design also. So that meant that we were able to send out a good message of what the design team could do, and not just that, it interested a lot of people to how they can join it even, and uh, that was a good response. And also this kind of event helped internally also, because then we started getting some really good substantial projects in for us,
Yeah.
because they understood where all we could help, and that really picked it up for us.
The
And
main yeah. So the main idea for you all to kind of showcase what you are doing is to aware people about design and aware your teammates, your company back then to kind of show what your work is all about. So I think yeah,
yeah, that's
it's
right.
very important to kind of at least spread awareness to design for design. Even I do it all the time when I have maybe clients or freelance projects. I take a nice amount of time to kind of explain them the process. So I think yeah, and as you also mentioned that you also got a kind of space to learn and realize okay maybe what else you can do, because again when someone asks you a question you kind of rethink about what you're actually doing and maybe get
Right.
come up with better stuff. So yeah, that's definitely, and it's really good to know that like something like a big corporate kind of giving you space to do something like this. So I think yeah, other brands, other engineering oriented brands, especially in India, should do more of this, I think. um
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So how did the next I think you also got an opportunity to learn CMF from someone who are already in the industry, and you want to talk about.
Right. Yes. Yeah, thanks for asking that actually, because so soon after this event, okay, so we were able to, like our we were under the engineering department, and we were able to, like, our manager, he saw, okay, this is what the design team does. Um, we have a CMF designer, and I was working alone there, obviously with my fellow colleagues. And we had, so basically we fall under the Daimler umbrella, and we have a good established team in Stuttgart, in Germany. So for my development, uh, I was, called in for a workshop in Germany, and that's where I actually saw it was a big team of just CMF designers. Like, oh, yeah. So that was like an eye opener, and the kind of presentations they did, or the kind of different things that they touched upon, like, yeah, that was a big learning for me. It was basically like my training program, if you wish to call it. Um, so this was an initiative supported by DICV, and also, I was called in by the CMF design heads there for a workshop, um, and it taught me a lot. Like, because sitting here in India alone doing it,
Yeah.
also with not many. There's not much information. There was not much information at that time where I could learn how to do CMF design, you know.
Yeah.
So this was crazy good, because I could literally go interact with them and understand their process, which is not much different from what we do in product design. But the kind of things they try to solve was very new and intriguing for me. So that's something that I learned from that training. And when I came back, I was like, okay, that's like a big team, dedicatedly focusing on these small aspects, but then it comes together to, to create such a different experience of a vehicle from the inside in terms of CMF design. So, but at least when I came back with a lot of learning, and what all things that I need to integrate into my ideation or
What were the
processes.
big takeaways you had from that workshop? Apart
Okay.
from just the process, maybe.
So when I was working in India alone, I was obviously thinking of it as one whole project, just interior. These are the colors, these are the materials. But there I felt like they go a little bit more in depth, and they study a little bit more of what are the upcoming technologies, and they try to put that into the ideation. Maybe not all of it goes through when the final product makes the cut, uh, but they still include it. So we that I think was one of my big takeaways, because when I came back, I was like, okay, I just can't keep proposing things that are doable for us, and with the help of the suppliers. I need to ideate or bring in more ideas which caters to 10 years down the line, or 15 years down the line.
Yeah.
And like trucks and buses, like commercial vehicles, they have a longer lifetime. They stick around in the market for more than twice or thrice compared to a passenger car vehicle. So
Yeah.
we need to have ideas which can sustain this kind of age of the vehicle. So it shouldn't be irrelevant or shouldn't die off halfway through its life. So yeah, I guess that would be. And yeah, it's honestly a bit tough. You need a bigger team to be able to do it much better, but it was great, because I still had I could. The good part was I was able to do all these things by myself, so it was good learning. It is like a foundation here, right? You basically get a hang of, or the taste of, each and every aspect, like from ideation to development. And um, and of course, it wasn't just the design team. At that time, I was even in conversation with a lot of engineers and a lot of people who are close to the suppliers. So it was a lot of conversations, including the engineers and the suppliers. So it was great, because engineers are important. They are very important. Um and you will only get a good product finally if all of these teams work together, or come together to realize the final product.
Because eventually you have
So
to make your design, right? So you should be finished
exactly,
with engineering, right? And there's
yeah,
always kind of a low key fight between designers and engineers because they don't understand them well. So I think I think that's my personal statement that in order to get the best product, you have to kind of build a relationship between designers and engineers, and
yeah,
you
it's so
mentioned about that
important.
because a lot of time we don't mention about it as designers, because a lot of times just our design only can't make it up there because of the engineers and with the help of engineers. So yeah, so when once you were back from Germany, you had an idea. Okay, now I've got this leap where I've kind of understood the process about CMF design. What was your state of mind, and did you get more intense projects after that? How
I
did your
think
approach changed, and like how the kind of flow you were in?
so. Basically, this okay. So the training that I just mentioned about me visiting Germany team was actually like a preparation for an upcoming project, which is already out in the market now, which is the Bharat Benz Stage 6 vehicles. So, the trucks were going in for an upgrade because of the new government law that we have to upgrade them to Stage 6 engines.
Yeah.
Um, so we even pitched in that not just the engine, we will go for the new exterior design, and also we won't go for a completely new interior, but we will revamp the interior with the help of CMF design.
Yeah.
Uh, and and obviously this design was so we wanted to just give them a whole new package, and because if someone's yeah, so that was our aim in the beginning, and that's when the CMF project started emerging strongly, and yeah, so the idea was, without much cost implication, how can we revamp the whole interior? And that was uh, that was my task to handle, and that was the biggest. I think that's a project I'm really proud about, and it's up and running now, and it was tremendous learning for me. Um, Especially because I didn't know anything about CMF design in the beginning. But for me to get through with that project,
Yeah.
uh, you know, successfully was like a big deal. And yeah, we were able to revamp the whole interior without any cost up.
Yeah.
And that was the basic brief. So that was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Then I think this is also the time of your career where you were working with the Japanese folks, if I'm not getting it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So basically, Fuso is also part of the Daimler umbrella. So DICV and Fuso started working together at this point, and for me, this Bharat BS6 trucks was a major project because I wanted to be able to interact more with Fuso colleagues and also show my potential that I can, be a part of the projects with Fuso as well.
Yeah.
And also for me to do this project from the start to the end, which means that I learn about how CMF works, right? All the different aspects of it. And like I said, being alone and working on this project was actually good for me because I could learn not just the ideation, how I can be part of the ideation phase or concept phase, but even the whole development phase, how you speak to suppliers, how do you pitch to them what you're looking for, what kind of fabric you're looking for, what kind of patterns you're looking for, and how they revert back to you, and then how you build that conversation and get it to the result that you were looking for.
Yeah.
So all of that was much needed for me to be able to support for Fuso design firm as well. Yeah, and then since that went well, I guess that's what got me this break of moving to Japan. And yeah, now I work from Japan for the Fuso team here. Yeah, that was basically
Awesome.
the
How
journey.
how was the shift? How was the shift? You like Japan though? Who doesn't like Japan?
100%.
That's a stupid question.
100%.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's
Did it take some time to kind of adjust in that environment, like work environment? Because all of us, I think, from the books and the internet, I've read and seen is that they are highly competitive and maybe I don't know. It can be sometimes hostile for us Indians. Maybe I don't know. How is it for you?
oh yeah, it's okay. First of all, the mannerisms and the culture here is quite different from India. I would say that, and but the people here are very like patient with you if they need to make you understand something, but at the same time they're very polite, so they might not be giving you an honest opinion and I thought that was a problem because I was like, if you find this shit you better tell me now so I
Yeah.
can fix it. So that was actually one of my first concerns, that if no one's gonna uh, and like I thrive on feedback because I that's how I know I'm going to get better at
Yeah.
whatever I'm doing, or at least realize where I need to be. Um, so that was honestly one of my concerns when I was moving here. I was like, oh my god, they're so sweet. I mean, how will they tell me? But No, everything changed once I started working here full time. Uh, yeah, the culture is quite different in many ways.
What do you think? What are the major differences between maybe working in India and working in Japan? Because I'm sure, as you mentioned in our conversation before, that there were a lot of international people working in
All
Japan,
right.
while in India you were kind of alone, kind of figuring in the process. So I'm sure, not just with the design awareness, but also a lot of learning through what you were doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really curious to know what, like how was it, like kind of a shift for you? You had fellow Indians there in your team?
Yes. So, the good part about our company here is that we have a lot of people from different countries. So it's a pretty much international space of working. So it's not a very orthodox or very conservative uh, Japanese working firm environment,
Yeah.
uh, which is great.
Where
And
it is based, though, I forgot to ask you that.
we are based in Kawasaki,
Yeah.
uh, Kawasaki. It's close to Tokyo. It's basically in between Tokyo and Yokohama, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, yeah. So that's a good thing that we are a company that is, it has a lot of people from different places, because then we are not confined to those orthodox cultural norms, and we are able to speak up. Like yeah, there's this thing about Japanese people not being direct with what they want to say, and they cannot, and they kind of refrain to say no many a times,
Wow.
in their cultural thing. But yeah, because of the environment with so many people from different places, it's really not the same, and we try to keep a good work life balance as much as possible.
Yeah.
Of course, when there's work, there is you need to slum it out and get the work done. um, yeah, but otherwise we do try to enjoy a good balance between both in many ways. Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, Japan has so many beautiful things to kind of take a break and kind of refuel yourself to get for more
Oh
creative.
yeah.
For sure, because I keep seeing your posts on social media about how about the weather, the nature, and it's so beautiful. And I'm sure it
Oh yeah, yeah.
also kind of gives you fuel to keep up with creativity and fresh ideas. Um,
Definitely. I was just saying that there's like so much inspiration here. Like you just need to step out and
do you think that matters, right? That definitely matters for a designer to being in at such place, right? So yeah,
yeah, definitely.
what would you say to a person who wants to dive into CMF design? For example, someone who's maybe studying industrial design, or maybe a fashion designer who wants to maybe dive into CMF design. What are the pointers you'd like to give them about kicking off their CMF career?
Yeah, I guess you should. I mean, if that's where your heart lies, I guess you should definitely first of all jump into it. And I think the process is the same for any design field. Honestly, like it's a foolproof process. I don't think you can differ from that much. But at least I would say in terms of commercial vehicles, yeah, I mean we are a more business B2B business. Like we try to you know offer solutions that make the businesses more profitable
Yeah,
to the end of the day. And so and also keeping in mind that our products last for a longer time compared to a passenger vehicle. So most of these solutions are user centric, obviously, because he's the final guy who's going to use the product. But the yeah, that I guess you should just dive into it and start exploring it by yourself
Yeah.
slowly and slowly. Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, most of the design projects are interrelated, and it all comes to the empathy and the solution to the user. One thing I really appreciate in your journey, Sneha, is that you were also kind of you were as you also mentioned in our conversation, that you learning is very important for you, right? And even to me, right? And I think all of the designers should be a lifelong learner, because there was a reason you opt for design, right? Where you could challenge yourself and kind of use your right brain to get creativity and innovation out of it. But also in the process, you mentioned that you reached out to your friends, you reached out to the people you kind of look forward to in terms of work. And also you can also call it having mentorship with people. How much do you think mentorship is important? And like I think I would recommend it a lot, because in fact I also kind of recently realized the value of mentorship. uh, Again, in your journey you had those leaps where mentorship helped you. How do you think mentorship is important for even people out there listening?
I think it's pretty successful tool for you to improve yourself. Um, I mean, you don't have to. Mentors could be anybody. I chose friends to begin with, and that was, yeah, it was a comfort zone with them, but they were not reluctant to give you a good feedback. You
Yeah.
know what I mean by a good feedback? That's brutal feedback. Okay, so yeah, they did teach me how it is to get out of your comfort zone. And my husband, Tanay, he's an industrial designer, and oh my god, I need to mention this, that when I was getting into the CMF field, joining DICV or MFTDC Fuso, it was a lot of times super intimidating because it's a male driven environment, and I had no experience in such a field. So and so I would you should be open to criticism, and also uh, these choosing mentors, or asking them feedback, um, not just makes you realize what all you need to improve in, or at least it makes you realize what is the next level you need to aim for. A lot of times it's very discomforting. I think it leaves you feeling like shit, if I may, or it could be like your self confidence could be pulled down, but don't lose hope. I think uh, the minute you choose to make that effort to pick yourself up and try, or rectify things, you would feel great that you were able to do
Yeah.
or achieve so much. um, and like every day is a struggle to reach to the next level. Okay, and if it is not that way, I don't think you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So
That's very well put.
it should, and you should keep that thing going. I mean, at least if you feel like that is dead, the learning, um, uh, the urge to learn, then I think your I feel like mostly your enthusiasm towards this field has died, I guess. So I think that's a good cue for you to look for something else, I guess, or something else that can keep you engaged. Uh, I
And
don't know.
yeah,
What do you think?
it's they're very very well put, Sneha. You just mentioned that you shouldn't be doing it if that thing is dying, right? So how do you like what pointers do would you like to share when when you think as a designer, I'm sure you can imagine that you as a designer you are sometimes in a stage where you don't realize, okay, what you really actually want. And at that time, maybe you need someone to recommend you to take a step back. What are the pointers you would like to give to the people who are maybe thinking that way and maybe are not able to figure out that what they really want to do and are kind of scared to take that step back, right? Because in your journey also, you mentioned that you were working in packaging design, and you wanted to try out some things with leather and
Yeah.
make a product out of it.
Yeah.
uh, and also it kind of given you a leap to something was bigger than what you were approaching. So I
Mhm.
think that was happening because you were in a process, right? So what do you recommend people who are maybe confused at this time and figuring out?
So, I mean, first of all, like taking a step back or taking a break shouldn't scare anybody. I think it's part of the process. In fact, it sometimes works for the better. Like if you take a step back and just analyze what you have in hand, what can you accelerate and what can you leave behind. This kind of judgment and planning can really help you. Yeah, you shouldn't be scared to take time out to replan or reorganize what where your heart lies or what you want to pursue. I think it can actually accelerate things at a better speed if you have a better plan, right? Than of being lost and just doing something just because it's coming to you or you don't want to lose out on time. I don't think people should think of it that way. And you never know like what you learn during your downtime or whatever time you take out for yourself and how that helps you with your future projects or future
Yeah,
endeavors.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's because I also think that the industry is changing so rapidly. Like every day, you have something happening. So
There's always something to learn, right? Like
yeah,
there's you even if you're taking a time off, you can never fall short of things to learn or pick up on or educate yourself on. So how can that be a waste of time? You tell me.
what do you think about you mentoring people, Sneha? Since it has helped you as an individual.
So yeah, definitely I'm open to that. But at the same time, I think I still have a lot to learn. I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, sure, I'm glad, I'm happy to help wherever I can, or if I can, help guide anything for anybody. Yeah, definitely.
That's leading us to our last question about your future and your projects. What are your plans? Like where do you want to channelize yourself from this stage? Where do you wanna, or maybe the projects you would like to try, or maybe the industry you'd like to work in? Just shoot me what you can.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess this is something that is very known, at least in the automobile industry. We are a lot of electric vehicles are going to be in the picture in the very coming years,
Yeah,
maybe in 10 years or 15 years, maybe sooner. So there is a lot of change in for the user to experience, um, moving from diesel to electric vehicles.
yeah,
So, and there's a lot of planning and designing to do here for the user, like not just for him to make this shift more easy, but also to develop an interior which is more friendlier and more technologically advanced or and also that can engage a lot of young truckers into this business. It's also a field where a lot of people are finding trouble to engage with, like the trucking industry. So um, how can we provide like an interior which can make it more appealing to them?
It's way worse in India though, right? Talking about truckers. Yeah, we definitely need to make a system for them where they can be maybe a little bit relaxing and can also make a balance in their own lives, because most of the time they are just driving, right?
Yeah,
And not eating well, or eating anything, not taking enough time to do a physical health check. So yeah,
right.
definitely
Yeah,
it's a very important role, not just with the CMF design or industrial design, but also with the ecosystem, which is also interrelated to design. So
yes,
I
right.
definitely
Yeah.
would love to see that. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot to like look forward to in the coming years, I think. And also like trucks are something that do it's like the work that they do is for, you can say it's a social cause, like to move goods or to help people move things around. And there are some use the truckers who have to stay in the interior for longer hours, and so how can you give them an interior where they can be focused on the work
Yeah.
without being stressed out. And at the same time, if they have to take a break, how can they enjoy taking a break in the same cabin, right? Um, so this kind of atmosphere, building, I think CMF can, really elevate that kind of experience for the user. So, and also, to eliminate stress. The cities are so becoming so much busy, like it's just chaotic, and it yeah, it can add to your stress in just fractions of seconds. But how can you ease his you know ease him mentally
Yeah.
by sitting in this cabin, reducing his stress. And if you're successfully reducing his stress, you're actually making it safe,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's what you
Definitely,
want.
it all comes to your mental state, right?
Yeah,
If you are pumped enough to work in an environment where your mental state is sane, you definitely produce better work and be productive, whether it's driving a truck or working in a design studio. um, yeah. So I wish you all the best, Neha, for your future endeavors. And I know how much time it took us to kind of do this podcast. And thanks for finding time from your busy schedule. So
no, thank you, my pleasure. And thank you, in fact, for letting me speak here. I hope you got any good information that you can extract from this,
of course,
honestly.
there's a lot of information we can learn from. Even I got to learn a lot um, from the conversation. So yeah, Sneha, I wish you have a good day and I see you soon.
Thank you so much, and I wish you a good day too, Deepak. Thank you.